What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Manga Casa. Last chapter, we left our heroes in a pretty gnarly situation. While Glenn was dealing with some random creep on the street, two of his terrorist buddies busted right into the academy. Sistine, Rumia, and their entire class were taken hostage, and the bad guys made it crystal clear they're after a specific target. Who were they looking for? Can the students hold them off until Glenn gets there? And will he even make it back at all? Let's find out right now as we dive into Chapter 4 of Akashic Records. We open in the classroom just moments before disaster strikes. Sistine is, as usual, complaining about Glenn, saying, "That jerk sure has gotten really popular lately." Her friend immediately starts teasing her. Don't tell me you're jealous, sis." But their typical high school banter is cut short by a deafening ka-wham as the classroom door is blown off its hinges. Two uninvited guests make their grand entrance. One guy looks serious and stoic, but the other, a loudmouth in a bandana, struts in like he owns the place, shouting, "What's up, kiddos? Make way!" The students are understandably freaking out. Sistine, our resident class rep tsundere, immediately gets in their faces, declaring that the campus is off-limits to outsiders. The bandana-wearing goon just grins and with the most cheerful smile ever says, "Us two, well, simply put, we're terrorists here to tie you all up." He says it so casually like he's delivering a pizza. He starts openly mocking Sistine, laughing at her defiance. That's the last straw. She decides it's time to teach this clown a lesson and begins casting a spell, purple flash of, but before she can even finish, the terrorist casually flicks his finger and says, "Wham!" In the next instant, Sistine's spell gets deflected with insane force, blasting a massive hole in the side of the academy building. Boosh! Everyone is stunned and Sistine just can't believe what she's seeing. The villain then starts breaking it down for her like he's the substitute teacher now. "You're sassier than I thought," he says. He explains that he used a spell called Lightning Pierce, which may look similar to your Shock Bolt, but is actually a real-deal murder spell. Big yikes! This guy isn't just a thug, he's a pro. Panic erupts in the classroom. The students are screaming their heads off, which just annoys Bandana Guy. "Pipe down, you brats, or I'll kill you." His quieter partner, Jean, says one word, "freeze," and a wave of ice magic silences the room. With the opening act over, it's time for the main event. The terrorist scans the room and asks, "So, which one of you is the girl named Rumia?" All eyes dart to her, so she's the target? He grabs another student and starts interrogating her, asking if she knows Rumia. The girl is terrified and shakes her head. He leans in with a disgusting grin. "You know, I hate liars." But Sistine intervenes, demanding to know what they want with Rumia. The terrorist slowly turns to face her, his patience clearly worn thin. He points the finger at Sistine and says, "You know, I've had just about enough of you." But then, something amazing happens. To protect everyone, Rumia steps forward and bravely declares, "I'm Rumia. I'll go with you quietly, just don't harm the others." What a heroic move, but the villain just laughs, saying they already knew who she was. In that same moment, Sistine collapses, likely hit by a cheap shot magic spell from behind. Jean puts a knife to Sistine's throat. Rumia is horrified. But even in this situation, Sistine whispers to her friend, "It's all right, sis. I'm sure Glenn will come and save me." Her faith in the professor is unbreakable. Jean just scoffs at her. "Oh, and just so you know, that Glenn guy definitely won't be coming. One of our buddies has already killed him, you see. His name is Carol. It's a nasty, twisted 1-2 combo spell of acid and poison." That's the big reveal. They targeted Glenn first to make sure he couldn't interfere. The students fall into total despair. Their last hope, their awakened professor, is dead. The look on Rumia's face is just pure heartbreak. Jean orders his partner to grab Rumia, adding that the other students will be useful for experiments. Dude, that's dark. These guys are playing for keeps. And then Jean decides to drop the biggest lore bomb of the series so far. He looks at Rumia and says, "Rumia Tingle," or should I say, Princess Rumiana. Holy crap! Rumia is a princess? Sistine, just coming to, hears this and is completely floored. Now, let's just take a quick timeout and see what happened to that Carol guy, the one who was supposed to have killed Glenn. And there he is, tied up in the middle of town, beaten to a pulp, and a sign over his crotch that reads, "It's small," laughing. That is a classic Glenn Radar's move. So yeah, our boy is alive, well, and clearly pissed off. Back in the classroom, things are getting ugly. Bandana guy starts getting handsy with the captured Sistine, acting like a total creep. But Sistine would not be Sistine if she just gave up. She spits defiance at him, shouting that her family, the Feeble family, will hunt her to the ends of the earth for this insult. The terrorist is completely unfazed. To break her spirit, he rips her blouse open. He continues to taunt the crying Sistine, savoring her desperation. It seems like all hope is lost, and then, ka-chack! The classroom door opens calmly. A familiar, disheveled figure is standing in the doorway. "What's up?" Glenn Radar's asks. "Someone in here?" Glenn strolls in, pretending to be completely clueless. "Ah, man, there's really some disgusting happening here. I thought it might have been consensual." Laughing, "What a troll!" The terrorist is stunned, demanding to know how he got past the barrier. A quick flashback panel shows us how he did it. Glenn found the dead guard and realized the terrorists had overwritten the barrier. Using a spell fragment he must have lifted from the first idiot Carol, he was able to fool the system and walk right through. Our boy isn't just strong, he's smart. Back in the present, Glenn surveys the scene, lets out a big sigh, and says, "Nope, there's no way I can handle this by myself. I'd better call for backup." And he turns to leave. He's literally trolling them mid-hostage situation. Jean is furious at this display, but Glenn keeps the act up. He says, "Did you ask where I crawled out of? Like I'm a cockroach or something?" And then he snaps his fingers. Bandana guy has finally had enough. "Too late, moron! Die!" he screams and unleashes his killer spell right at Glenn. But nothing happens. The spell just fizzles out into thin air. The terrorist is completely baffled. "Sorry," Glenn says, not even looking at him, "but you can't use magic anymore." On the chalkboard behind him, the word "silence" has been magically written. Glenn holds up a tarot card. "A tarot card? The Fool Arcana?" the bad guy whispers. Glenn explains that by reading a formula on this specially made talisman, he can activate a spell that completely nullifies all other magic within a set radius around himself. He looks the villains dead in the eyes and delivers the legendary line, "That's my original magic, the Fool's World. Let's go!" The ultimate Chad move. The terrorists, whose entire power came from magic, have just been turned into helpless NPCs. Before they can even process it, Glenn closes the distance and smashes the goon into a wall so hard it cracks. The terrorist recognizes his fighting style. Those are high-key techniques too. Imperial military's martial arts training. Who the hell are you? Glenn casually straightens his tie and reintroduces himself with maximum drip. Glenn Radar's substitute teacher. The terrorist tries to fight back, but he's got zero chance against Glenn in hand-to-hand combat. Glenn declares, "Then you won't have anything to complain about, right? Tell you what, how about I use the ultimate legendary spell, Enchanted Iron Fist Magical Punch, to finish you off?" And he delivers a haymaker straight to the jaw. Ka-chwam! The bad guy is out cold. Sistine, confused, points out, "That wasn't a punch, it was a kick." Glenn turns to her with a smug, shit-eating grin and says, "That's the thing, it's magical, star." And that's the end of the chapter. After the dust settles, all Glenn can do is wipe his brow and sigh, "Sheesh, I managed to save it." All right, guys, that was absolutely insane. This chapter just changed the entire game. We found out that Rumia is a freaking princess and that Glenn isn't just a lazy teacher, he's a former military badass with a completely broken anti-magic ability. He just soloed a terrorist cell like it was another Tuesday afternoon. But this just raises even more questions. Who is hunting Princess Rumiana? What is Glenn's real history with the military? And how is this going to change everything for our heroes moving forward? If you were as hyped by this chapter as I was, do me a favor and absolutely obliterate that like button, subscribe to Manga Casa for more manga madness, and let me know in the comments what your favorite moment was. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next chapter.